for someone precious as the eyeball. Have you ever seen a ship burn down at sea? Burj al-Fatih once stood by its lonesome, come pitch-black wintry nights over Khartoum, come crashing waves and currents under Tuti Bridge, and yet there it is, up in flames. But as if by some miracle, the water around it is frozen, suspended in time, still liquid in shape, and the ancestors echo, Arisi Bathikacha. Beware of still water. In the frigid shadows of last November, I sat in front of twinkling lights, turned around, found myself alone, and faced the dissonance. It took you 7 months, dear friend, to ask if I was okay for the very first time. And you did it while we sat in front of candles the world had lit for you, illuminating tears that fell for you, onto blankets brought to keep you warm while I shivered. And in those 7 months, my blood had already ran cold. So when you finally thought to ask if I was okay, I burned. 350 days pass. The world is in orbit and nearly back to where it first was when my world froze 6,400 miles away 350 days ago. And yet, this one keeps moving in perpetual loops while my ancestral home is quartered and my family displaced and my capital burnt to the ground. And you say you know my strife because you're hurting now too. You think you know because you liken yourself to kin rather than friend, and you say blood is thicker than water. Remember that. You claim to know, but how could you know what it's like to burn standing so far you can't even tell where the ash in the sky is falling from? Or maybe you do know. Maybe because you all set the ship aflame yourself. Dear friends, you forgot that those who bleed can wield the knife too, so you took Nubia's black hands in yours, turned them so quickly that her wrist snapped and all she could see were the whites of her own palms, drew over her grand name in the sand so that it read Bilad as-Sudan, land of the blacks, as if to darken her beauty, darken her glory. No! Her darkness was her glory. 2,000 years ago, her black hands wrought pyramids, the most of them, the very ones you call a wonder of the world, as if they materialized by some miracle, because in your minds, that is more fathomable than the fact that they were wrought by black hands, raw hoops of gold you wear in your ears, perpetual loops, metallurgy of the universal body, from the black breath and soul it came from, but in Nubia's fire, all your metal was forged. 1,000 years later, glory washed away on the banks of the Nile River. Glory became sand around the village schoolhouse, where you taught us to call Nubia's pyramids and gold Egyptian and to call the Egyptians Arabs, where you taught us that Egypt is a beacon of light and that light leaves no room for darkness, where I learned that history is written for those who welcome with open hands, by those who conquer with closed fists. Maska Agro, Afya Logo, these are grains of Nubin that are all I'll ever know. Instead, 4 generations know dunes of Arabic. No man is rajul in standard dialect meant for all of us, yet still my tongue knows to mold rajul into Taras to Algerians and Ammi to Egyptians and Zedama to Palestinians, because my Zol in Sudani will never be remembered. My mother tells me the Arabic word nas, meaning people, comes from tensa, meaning to forget, because that's what they know to do best, and I know better than to think that there's actually something for all of us. But in Nubia, people are Adamri, as in we all came from Adam. And Adam came from dust, so why is pain remembered only when it's light and not black, when it's yours and not mine? Dear friend, I don't doubt for a second you know what it means to hurt, but you know nothing of what it means to be forgotten. in 68 years, my Sudan has never once known peace. The same is true for you, yet I know of your strife and you know nothing of mine. In 68 years, my Sudan has never had her voice be known, has never known her own voice. For 68 years, my Sudan has cried, has screamed into silence. My people bleed and grieve. We live, we breathe in abject silence. Today, I read this poem to you, dear friends. I tell you of our pain, but you get the choice to be jarred by metaphor instead. Today, I learn poetic ambiguity is a luxury afforded only to those with causes deemed worthy, causes remembered, and again, alone, I face your dissonance. So back to last November, where lights flickered out, where frigid air bit our skin, and you all left us there burning. We couldn't blame you for being used to the world's warmth and light. Rather than watch us all go up in flames, you thought it better to look away, even if it meant we were forgotten. You looked to that still water all around, and in that reflection, we learned who you were, crystal clear. Remember? Because you said blood is thicker than water, and you proved my people have no one but each other. So for us, as black night enveloped, we embraced all we've ever known. For us, as snowflakes grazed black skin, our own warmth melted them. For us, dear friends, better that we go down with the ship, go up in flames burned to death, and from the ashes of its memory become fire. Remember, Ya Baladi Ahbab, in our Sudan's glorious darkness, all our light was forged. Thank you.